And welcome back to Game Escape, here today to review 3 iOS pinball games: Pinball Arcade, Zen Pinball, and Pinball Collection HD. I play all of these on the iPad 3, of course they're compatible with newer iPads, and the iPhones, I think from the 4S onward. And this is a little bit of a background with iPad and iOS gaming. I purchased an iPad 3 at launch, and since that time, I've used it primarily as a large color Kindle and YouTube appliance. I never actually thought the game offerings on iOS were particularly impressive. Most seemed to be kind of graphical time wasters, and the few that did stand out, like the collection of cave shmups, which are pretty popular on the platform, were nonetheless hampered by their touch control schemes. Yes, games like Espeleta 2 managed to be quite playable and enjoyable with the touch interface, but after importing it in some of the other cave games on the Xbox 360, for example, and playing them with an arcade stick, I had no desire to go back to the iPad versions. But my opinion on iOS gaming was changed really this spring after discovering these pinball apps. And it really these games marked the first time, in my opinion, that the iPad was more of an asset than a liability in the hardcore gaming space. And I think this is because the very fact of holding the iPad vertically simulates the view that you have when standing over an actual pinball machine. And your thumbs, rather than dancing across the display and distorting the view of the action, instead rest on the bottom corners of the display outside of the playing field of these virtual machines, leaving you to appreciate these intricately detailed tables. The controls themselves are super responsive, with absolutely zero lag between screen tapping and flipper response, and that goes for Pinball Arcade and Zen Pinball. And these two games are, I think, really remarkable achievements in iOS gaming, and had me, for the first time in over a year, glued to my iPad. So just a couple notes on Pinball Arcade. This game, it's from Farsight Studios. It tries to be a pinball machine emulator, taking table layouts, play mechanics, scoring systems, music, and graphics from real tables, and using them to create what are likely the most intricate digital recreations of pinball tables yet to be released. At least I have not played games like the Williams Collection for the PS3 and the Xbox 360, which are also by Farsight, so I can't say for sure, but the full version of Pinball Arcade comes with one table preloaded. That's the one that's 99 cents on iOS. That there is I believe, a free version with nothing. And the game that comes with is Arabian Nights, which is a great table. This is not some sort of cheap add-in. This is a legitimately awesome table to play with. And others are available for purchase at price points ranging from $1.99 to $4.99. Some games are $4.99 a piece, like the Twilight Zone table and the Star Trek table. Others you can get for $1.99 a piece, and they have bundles, table packs, which give you 2 tables for $4.99. And they've recently introduced season passes for $40, which allow you to download all the tables released in a given season. Users also have the ability to go pro and purchase pro versions of each table. That's priced at $7.99 if you want that, and it gives you access to a number of features that can, affect play on the tables. That's an option for which I have found no immediate need. But the offerings are expensive. I mean, Pinball Arcade, if you want to download every table, it is pretty pricey. You can preview them, play every table for free up to a certain score. But, you're going to invest, if you want every table and you go with the season passes, $80 in this game. Is it worth it? I mean, I think if you like the history of pinball, it's definitely worth putting some money into Pinball Arcade, because the level of detail, like I said, is absolutely tremendous, and I think this is one of the more graphically impressive games that I've seen on the iPad. Zen Pinball takes a rather different approach, and this is from Zen Studios, and rather than recreating and licensing actual tables, they instead create new tables that utilize features which would be impossible to execute on an actual physical pinball table. The funds that Zen did have available for licensing, however, went towards securing the Star Wars and Marvel licenses, which they have used to create a number of theme tables focusing on different events in these respective series. The result is that Zen Pinball feels a little bit more like a video game and less like real pinball, which is by no means a problem. In fact, I actually believe Zen Pinball has the superior physics engine. Balls in this game feel like they have more weight and momentum. And I was better able to aim my shots and play longer at higher scores. Pinball Arcade, on the other hand, has a more floaty ball physics, particularly around the bumpers. And some games tend to end before they even get started, especially Black Hole. Now, I suppose this is, paradoxically, this also emulates real pinball in the sense that real machines had an uncanny ability to eat your quarters before you had a chance to achieve a real rhythm. But Zen Pinball, I think, gives you more of an opportunity to pursue the table objectives and build your score, an approach that would have likely eaten into arcade operators' profits back in the day. Tables here are $1.99 across the board, but they do have sales where you can get them for 99 cents, and that is really an excellent deal. Now, Zen Pinball actually comes bundled with a pretty cool table. It's called Sorcerer's Lair. And it's a nice way to kind of get into the app, and definitely worth playing and exploring that table. If you like it, definitely try out the Star Wars tables and some of the X-Men tables. I think are pretty good. And lastly, we have Pinball HD Collection from GameProm. And this is kind of the odd man out here. They don't have any licensing for actual tables or for sci-fi licenses or anything like that. The controls here are okay, but the tables are really uninspired, and they're actually pretty easy. The flippers are much longer, and they actually have cheats built in, so you can just kind of play forever if you want, or just automatically trigger a multi-ball situation. These are priced at 99 cents a table, but really not worth your money. I mean, I would pay $1.99 for a Zen table rather than picking up two of their tables for 99 cents each. The only thing that the Pinball HD Collection has going for it is a pretty cool peripheral controller, and we're going to take a look at that right now. So if you were wondering what I was using to play the last game, the Pinball Collection HD, I was actually using this peripheral called the Duo Pinball, which you can pick up for about $30 on Amazon. And it's actually a pretty cool item because it really gives you, and we talked about how the neat thing about pinball games on the iPad is that they actually simulate the feel and the look and the angle at which you would play an actual pinball table, and this takes the experience even further. You can see it's a kind of a dock, and take the iPad out. It's a Bluetooth dock, and you can see it has a plunger and then the two buttons, and actually these buttons are pretty responsive. And of course, when you turn the Bluetooth on, you see that the iPad lights up, and seamless connection. The sad thing is you can only use this device with Pinball Collection HD, and that's a shame because that is the weakest of the three major pinball offerings on the iPad. As we said, it's just not really up to par with Zen Pinball and Pinball Arcade. And I actually think it would be a neat idea if those companies supported this peripheral, because it's actually put out by a third party. It's not put out by the makers of the HD Collection. So I think it would be a nice update because the flippers are very responsive, at least in Pinball Collection HD. The plunger, on the other hand, is really not. It's very cheap, and it actually kind of moves the unit when you use it. But it is, I think, an even better way to enjoy iPad pinball, and I really do hope that at some point in the future, Zen Studios and Farside Studios consider supporting this, because it would really, really work nicely with their superior product. So what is my recommendation here? Well, I just want to say that growing up, pinball was a game that I played really while waiting for Street Fighter II cabinets to open up. But after having discovered these apps, I'm now beginning to appreciate these lost gems of the arcade. If you are so inclined, buy both. Buy both Zen Pinball and Pinball Arcade and enjoy their different strengths. I think that's really the way to go. Invest a little in each and just enjoy what they have to offer. Beyond that, it really depends on your desire for a simulation or a video game. If you crave the former, if you're a pinball junkie, Pinball Arcade is really the obvious choice. If you want more of a video game experience over which you have a greater degree of control, go with the Zen Studios offering. Again, Pinball HD Collection is a novelty that, while entertaining in short bursts with the optional Duo Pinball controller, really can't compete with these other games. So I think this is an exciting new genre. I think it's really perfectly suited to the physical hardware of the iPad and to mobile gaming, more so than things like the flight control game or Candy Crush. I mean, these are games that you can take on the go. You can play them for 10 or 15 minutes, and you can get that fun and that really addictiveness of pursuing a high score. And with the online leaderboard functionality that these apps offer, it really is a good time. So this is an emerging genre, and if you own an iOS device or an Android device, it is well worth your time to check out these games. Thank you for watching Game Escape, and I will be back shortly with some new videos.